preparation of this speech, I attended a city council meeting focusing on 3 aspects that were discussed in the course. Specifically, I analyzed the listening presence of the audience members, the language that was used throughout the meeting, and finally, the group presentation style. The purpose of this speech was to connect aspects from the course readings into a decision-making group in the community. I felt that attending a city council meeting would be a good choice for this speech since it contains the requirements that I needed for the speech, plus it gave me information about what was going on in the community. I found that the city council meeting was very relaxed since all the members were seated throughout the meeting. Instead of a consistent speech, there were brief statements and discussions by both city council members and the audience. There are 3 elements that were introduced in the textbook that explain how to properly engage in active listening, which is also referred to as the 3 A's. Attention is the importance of the audience being able to identify the main goal, the main points, and the structure of the speech being presented to them. While analyzing the audience throughout the meeting, I found that many were not paying attention to what was being discussed. Instead, they were distracted by fidgeting with their hands or shifting frequently in their seats, for example. The next element, attitude, focuses on the importance of coming into the speech with a positive attitude instead of telling yourself that it's going to be a waste of time. Adler proposes having 4 questions in mind while listening. What is the whole speech about? What are the main goals, conclusions, and arguments? What are the speaker's conclusions and arguments, and what of it? Now, while I understand that there wasn't a specific speech given, I think that these points are important in future meetings. Finally, adjustment emphasizes the need to follow the speaker throughout the speech since the audience doesn't know for sure what is coming next. According to the textbook, communication occurs when we try to transfer what is in our minds to the minds of our audience. Whether speaking to inform, persuade, or entertain, the main goal of a speech is to effectively communicate his or her thoughts to audience members. It is also important for speakers to use simple language that their audience will easily be able to understand, which lets them get their message across. At the meeting, there was one person who read off the agenda and information pertaining to the item at hand very quickly, which was sometimes difficult to understand. I think that with this information at hand, it stresses the importance of making sure to speak clear and at an appropriate speaking rate for your audience. Finally, it is also important for a speaker to keep in mind the impact that their language choices has and to use it both effectively and ethically. Additionally, the textbook emphasizes that the difference between choosing one word over another can be as significant as an audience member remembering your speech or forgetting it and or an audience turning against you and your ideas. With keeping this in mind, it could be very beneficial for a speaker to briefly go over their work to check grammar and speech, ensuring that the language that they plan to use is appropriate for their audience. The textbook identifies small group interaction as a process by which 3 or more members of a group exchange verbal and nonverbal messages in an attempt to influence one another. Out of the 3 leadership styles identified, I felt as though the participatory style most closely identified with the city council meeting. The style is explained as centering around a designated leader who offers guidance, suggestions, listening and concern for members while also showing concern for completing the task. I felt this style was present because there is one person that seemed to be in charge, directing the discussion throughout the meeting. With every item on the agenda, the city council members could vote yes or no following any discussion that may arise. Such discussion can either be from members discussing or audience members being able to voice their support or opposition of the item. As discussed in this speech, the city council meeting was relaxed, not exactly following typical speeches. Even though some elements were present, it was in a more casual environment. I was able to relate some of the course's information to this meeting by looking at the listening of the audience, the language that the city council members used, and the group presentation style that was present. I felt that the city council meeting was a good fit for this speech, since I was able to relate concepts from the course to a more relaxed speech.